Well, there was one review. It starts off with like, at first I was like, meh. And I was reading, I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I think about our show.
Mm-hmm. That was actually Bell of the Balls. But there's one person who isn't quite happy with us, Dave.
Really, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. His name is Do. Not really sure how to pronounce that. He writes, this podcast is not worth listening to. These guys are, well, I want to say morons, but I won't. The guy with the deeper voice, that's me, offers no insight and frequently gets his information incorrect. In their second episode recap, they completely missed the reason for no milk. If they can't understand simple situations like this podcast is a waste of time. I consider myself a casual viewer of the TV show and like to listen to the podcast for things that I've missed. This podcast does not go in depth and misses the marks on many points of the show. 2 out of 5 stars.
Well, thank you for participating.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Joke's on you. We got you to participate. Ever since that review, there's been like a rash of positive reviews.
Absolutely, yeah. A bunch of you kind of came to our defense of sorts. So I want to give big props to Quadruple X Thumper, Leslie Fratt, Lilo and Finch, Master Chief 09756, who is just way better than Master Chief 09755. Leggy L23.
Got one more kill.
Yeah, one more kill. And Bell of the Balls. Thank you so much for participating and letting us know what you think. Let's do this, Dave.
When Saul, you better call Saul. He'll fight for your rights when your back's to the wall. Stick it to the man, justice for all. You better call Saul.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is It's All Good, Man. The Better Call Saul podcast. I'm Brian, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dave. Dave, how are you this evening?
I am feeling wondertastic this evening.
Awesome. Dave and I also co-host a Nothing Important podcast. This week, we have musical guest Wally Dogger and the Vaudevillains, and we also have a really great interview coming up with Eric Barkley of the Tugboat Coffee Company, which was a pretty interesting interview. So if you're into coffee at all and you want to learn about the process brewing, how the beans are picked, and even the science of brewing, please make sure that you subscribe to Nothing Important Podcast and listen to it. You can find that at www.nothingimportantpodcast.com. Remember, It's All Good, Man is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible, they have over 150,000 audiobooks that you can download. Go to our website, itsallgoodman.com, click on the banner to click through, and make sure you sign up for your free trial. Bob Odenkirk, Saul himself, actually has a book on there called A Load of Hooey. It's a new release. It's narrated by Bob Odenkirk, David Cross, Jay Johnson, Jerry Minor, Meg Amron, and Paul F. Thompson. Please make sure you get that for free. Go to our website, click through, audible.com. All right, Dave, so we just watched episode, what is that now, 4?
Episode 4.
Episode 4,
Yeah. Hero
is the title of it. And just quick impression, what did you think about it off the bat?
This is probably my least favorite episode so far, so I'm going to give it my worst rating ever. 7 thumbs up.
7. What exactly didn't you like about it, Dave?
I don't know. It felt like not a lot happened while a lot kind of did happen. So I don't know. Just
so
kind of.
It's just more of a pacing thing.
Yeah, it's a pacing thing, and I guess it's still setting. It's just like you said, the slow burn. It's really slow. Yeah.
Right. See, but I'm kind of enjoying that because like I keep talking about how shoehorning it in. You know, like I'm a fan of. I like seeing how they set everything up because we already know how it ends. Right. So like I'm a big fan of seeing the setup. So I'm okay with not seeing Saul be
Until
Saul
the
yet.
end. Yeah, and I guess that's the whole point is he's not going to get to be Saul. You know, it won't happen until the end.
Right.
Although this is the episode where they drop the name.
Right. Yeah. Roll credits.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's all good, man. Right.
Right. Exactly. Right. And the flashback thing, I thought that was pretty cool. And I guess I just now realized, since I'm not that insightful, that every flashback or every show starts with a flashback, and they keep going. It seems farther back in time.
Well, yeah, we don't really know if this,
but we're not really sure
if that because last episode, Nacho, episode 3, started off with Saul talking to Chuck
Right.
in
jail.
And we were watching it, and we were kind of like, oh, okay, so this is it. This is gonna be the Chicago sunroof. So we thought when Saul was walking down the alley with his buddy that he apparently met that night, I guess, which turned out to be the mark for their scam.
Right.
Right. And they were talking to the guy that kept calling them buttholes. Saul's
roundhouse kicking.
Saul's accomplice. We're like, oh, he's laying on the ground. This is going to be the Chicago sunroof. And where that comes into play, last episode, we're from Chicago, and I have never heard of that before.
No, never.
You know, we've lived here our entire lives, and for whatever reason, we've never heard of a Chicago sunroof. So we thought like maybe he was like peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Right.
Something through I'm thinking like solarium was that what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right. But listener Adam K actually sent us the definition of a Chicago sunroof.
Is it an Urban Dictionary definition?
What's that?
Is it an Urban Dictionary?
Urban Dictionary, you know it. So there's actually 2 definitions for it. One is when you place your dick on the head of an opposing team's fan. So I guess like for most people here down at Soldier Field, it'd be, you know, like a Green Bay fan, like you put your dick on their head.
Like some sort of variation on teabagging.
Or
flogging or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And another one is when you piss through the sunroof of a car of some yuppie downtown. so it's like, wait. So it's like kind of like public urination. Like, oh,
right.
well, you know, I gave him a Chicago sunroof.
I guess either one of them is the indecent exposure thing.
Right,
but
yeah.
They did say assault.
Right.
So that leads me to think it's the first one.
It was probably supposed to be the dick on the head of the opposing team's fan, right? So like the huge fat guy that kept calling a butthole was laying down in the alley. And that's when I thought it was going to happen before it revealed that it was all part of the scam, right? Because they set that up pretty well where they found the guy's wallet. They take the money. The guy is, behind the dumpster acting as if he's just like inebriated. And he keeps, keeps being defiant, calling them buttholes and all that. And the one guy takes the watch and they take the money, and then the rest of the scam plays out. But we were waiting for it, right?
Right, yeah, we were totally
like, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And then it never happened. And then it's weird when you get disappointed about that
about
not
seeing a guy slap another guy's face with his dick.
Absolutely. But that's I enjoy that too because it keeps throwing you for a loop. It was good to see yet another scam that Jimmy McGill pulled.
His douchebag history.
Right, yeah.
Basically, yeah. Totally.
And like we said, it was the first time that he said what's her name? Saul, because it's Saul Goodman. So it was awesome of them to give our podcast a shout out in the show. So Thank you so much, AMC and Vince Gilligan and Bob Odenkirk. That's really cool that you promoted us. I couldn't have asked for a better endorsement. And we here at Nothing Important Podcast appreciate that.
So I didn't notice the watch thing. Okay. There seems to be some sort of watch thing.
Right. They put emphasis, right? Like they took the man's watch. And then the opening for this episode, the background of the background images. Well, no, that was
cell phones.
It was cell phones,
which I wanted to get to about that.
Okay, we'll get to that. But he had in Breaking Bad, he had a drawer full of
watches. And he's always talking about the watch makes the man. It's not the watch you're going to wear to this. And then there's also the part where Walter puts his watch on top of the payphone, which at the last episode, which you cleverly suggested, maybe his time was up.
Right, yeah. My insight on that was that Walt knew his time was up, so he just kind of put his watch that he had been wearing up there, and then just kind of leaving it behind.
Other than that, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what the hell the watch thing is all about, but it just seems to be a running thing, like they're just referencing watches.
Right. So for those of you listening, please send us your theories or what you perceive the whole watch analogy to be. And, we'll definitely look it over and probably include it in the next episode.
Absolutely. And then the beginning, the opening credits had that drawer full of phones, which kind of makes sense that his phone starts ringing this episode.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. Which I totally thought of after his phone started ringing. Like I didn't think that was what was going to happen, but...
Well, he finally got messages, right?
Yeah, finally get messages. Yeah,
and it's funny because for the past couple episodes, every time they show the phone, I'm like, oh, he's gonna get a call.
Yeah,
like I keep making the prediction he's gonna get a call. but then it didn't happen. And tonight it finally happened, and he actually got 7 messages from potential clients. I did like the scene where they were standing outside of the bar in Cicero, Illinois, and they're like, sorry, man, this town sucks. It's like, yeah, this town does suck. And I can attest, Cicero, Illinois kind of sucks.
I'm from Cicero. I'm from Wilmette.
My best story that I have personally from Cicero is it's the first time that I ever saw those cans of Bud Lights that are like a Bud Light margarita that are like
the butterita or whatever.
Yeah.
Limerita.
Limerita, yeah. So
Strawberritas and limeritas. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So that, as far as I know, is the best thing to come out of Cicero, Illinois.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, well, it's Cicero, man. This place sucks. I also liked in the scene, like growing up and watching Stand By Me and all these other, like the joke is always if you find a dead body, you poke it with a stick.
Yeah.
I love that, like how Saul found a stick. Mm-hmm. He was going to try to poke the fat guy with it. That's everything. Like every kid's common knowledge comes down to, like, hey, you find a dead body, the first thing you do, poke it with a stick.
Poke it with a stick.
Well, and just one more thing, the way that they played out, I like how they used it was a big elaborate scheme basically to get Saul's buddy to pay them basically $540 for scamming them, right? Because they were arguing over the price of the perceived value of the Rolex watch.
Yeah, the Rolex watch,
which is obviously fake because they wouldn't let somebody run off with a Rolex watch. And I hope it shows more of his buddy.
You think so? You think I thought that was a one-time deal.
I don't know.
Wait, are you talking about the fat guy?
The fat guy, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think yeah.
Because the fat guy, they were hanging out and drinking beer while Saul was doing bong rips, and he's just like, I just love watching you work. The only thing in my mind that could have made that better is if the fat guy would have actually been Huel.
Yeah.
How great would that have been? And then that would have been the start of Huel and Saul's relationship.
Yeah, but I just don't see Huel going back to Chicago though. I think I always thought of like everybody else is Albuquerque bound. Everything happens in Albuquerque.
Right.
So I didn't put that together. I kind of forgot about Huel and his buddy also.
I just hope one day we found out what happened to Huel.
I hope so, but I don't know.
When we last saw him, he was just sitting in a room scared to leave.
That lovable bastard.
Yeah. Then it cuts, it cuts to the opening sequence, drawer full of cell phones, and then we're back at the
campsite.
At the campsite, Kettleman's. And one thing I didn't pick up on, and Dave, you actually said it while we were on the couch, and I'm not sure if you said it last podcast, but listener Punk-Ass Ernie reminded us that the sticker on the family car shows the 4 members of the family and a tent.
Yeah, they have backpacks on.
Yeah, that was a big clue that they were campers and shit. And right. I totally whiffed on that one.
which we didn't even know last because we lost the stream last episode. Mm-hmm. But since AMC is kind enough to replay the shit out of this show,
right? Yeah,
we got to catch up on that. And Mike plants the idea that they're not far from home. Like they're not at home, but they're not far from home.
Right.
So then
it turned out it was 5 miles.
Oh, that's right. It was 5 miles up.
So Saul walked the desert for 5 miles.
And I'm going to tell you what. If you're off on a hike in one direction for 5 freaking miles, you have faith,
right?
That you are on the right path.
That's one thing that kind of bugged me is. Like, I get that he's kind of going, but like 5 miles, that's a hell of a hike, especially up a mountain in the desert.
Yeah. In your suit.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess that shows like some straight up determination, but even that instance, I feel that the chances of him actually happening by them, even following a trail is astronomical. So like that made me wince a little bit where I was like, that's kind of
a little far fetched, but it's
stretching it.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, exactly. But then he finally finds them, and then it comes to where Betsy finally tries to bribe Saul.
I don't like her.
No, not a favorite character.
I don't know. She's totally that manipulative wife. Like obviously the husband's a huge pussy.
Right. Yeah.
She's totally telling him what to do, how to do things. You've earned this money. This is your money. Only guilty people hire lawyers like you. Like she's like believing her own hype that she's innocent,
right?
And she deserves the $1.5 million or whatever that they stole.
Right, like it was his money, even though it like wasn't part of his salary, and like
Right.
like he worked off the clock and whatever.
Because I'm sure his $40,000 a year job, his overtime's worth $1.6 million.
Right, yeah, yeah. It's that total fairness bullshit, but maybe we'll see that as the show progresses. Like it'll show more of her like kind of pushing him into this because she's just unhappy with her life and think they deserve more. So
yeah, I'm kind of hoping it's one of those fatal flaws, something like that. Because and she refers to it as a teensy mistake. One teensy mistake.
Yeah, one teensy mistake. one little thing. I like how she kept saying he wasn't guilty, even though she kept admitting that they took the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like she's believing her own lie, but she is so entrenched in the lie of
right. It's like one of those things like you tell the lie often enough and long enough, and eventually you start believing it yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? It's totally like that. Like, oh yeah, well we didn't do anything wrong. I mean, yeah, sure, shit. We took like a $1.6 million, but I mean, like, come on, like, I mean, like he stayed at the office late a few fucking times, Like,
so then she even offers him a bribe, which you called. Props. You said this might be when he starts to realize he can make more money outside the courtroom than inside the courtroom.
Yeah, it starts laying the foundation. But I wasn't even sure of that when the scene was going on because he stuck to the whole, I don't take bribes. Because he did that in Breaking Bad, too, with Walt and Jesse. He's like, I'm not taking a bribe, put the dollar in my pocket, and now I'm your lawyer.
Right.
And so, like that scene just went on just long enough to where I started to question that. I was like, well, maybe I'm completely wrong. Like, he's not going to take the bribe. And then they kind of left it a little ambiguous because it cut to a whole new scene. And
but he does offer, I won't take a bribe, but I'll take a retainer. Keep me on as your lawyer, and let's fight. Hamlin and McGill. But then that's when she says, if we hire you, we'll look guilty. Right, because we'll hire the polished company. Right. So, but I honestly, when the scene ended, I thought he just turned them down flat out. Like he obviously you find out he turns them into the cops, but I didn't think he took the money.
Right. Yeah. Well, they left that, like I said, they left that really ambiguous. It was like up until he slapped a stack of money on the desk, you weren't really sure what direction it went there.
Then he immediately starts trying to find a way to legitimize the stack of money by creating an invoice based around, to add up to that kind of money so that way he doesn't get caught.
Right. And then it cuts to Saul and Nacho's conversation after Nacho finally got out of jail, but it was the next day. So he didn't make the 1 day deadline.
Right.
So I was just waiting for the death threat from Nacho, and he kind of starts trying to bully Saul around.
Right. Well, he's convinced, he's putting it together that I'm in jail for a reason. The cops knew I was there for a reason. Somebody tipped off the family, that whole thing,
Only person I told was you.
Right. One person knew, and then I got in trouble. Yeah. So he's still after Saul, or Jimmy McGill has something coming to him from Nacho.
Right. And then it was nice because when he was backed into the corner, like you see a little bit of
Saul's balls.
That's right. And once again, thanks for commenting on our iTunes. Saul's balls. But you see a little bit of his balls come out because he's kind of painted into a corner, just like he was with Tuco in the desert. And he's like, comes back swinging. He's like, no, motherfucker. First off, whoever did that did you a favor. And then he lays out the case to how that person did him a favor.
Exactly. And he's right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Nacho never really agreed to that. He just kind of did like the classic and dramatic series where you never answer the question or say what needs to be said. You just kind of walk off into the distance, which that kind of irritates me, but that's just like a pet peeve I have across all dramas. I hate that shit. But I guess so many shows wouldn't be TV shows if somebody actually just said something that needed to be said in that particular moment.
Oh, that would end every plot that's ever written pretty much, yeah. Even in, Breaking Bad had a lot of that. Breaking Bad would have really annoyed me with the whole, I'll give you the information after you're already pissed off about what, the information would have made you not get pissed off about.
Oh, my God. Have you watched Prison Break?
No, I don't watch
Prison Break. Is an entire series. My wife loves Prison Break, and it is a pretty entertaining show. But the entire premise of that is like every 30 seconds, somebody confronts somebody, and then it's followed by like a snide remark or silence, and then they walk off. And then the person that's being walked away from never says, wait, fucker, get back over here and answer my question. Or like,
Right.
what do you have on your mind? They just kind of stare off in the opposite direction. And then the camera sits on them for like 2 seconds and then it cuts the scene. So I guess if you like awkward dramatic pauses, please check out Prison Break.
Okay, so he takes the bribe and he stacks up the money, and then the line that I like is, "Upon this rock I will build my church," because I don't know. I guess he kind of legitimized the money, but this is where it's really starting. He takes the money, he sets it, merchandising, or not merchandising, but marketing, image.
Well, speaking of lies, then he has to start lying to himself.
Right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's not a bribe. He's trying to legitimize it by creating invoices, like with the consulting fee and what was one of, like he took like a big stack of like $100 bills and he's like, well, I did eat while on the road.
Traveling expenses, miscellaneous expenditures.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So he's doing the same thing. He's just trying to, in his mind, legitimize what he's doing as well.
Right.
And that's pretty good acting on Bob Odenkirk's part, because you can actually see him struggle with that. Like the way that they handle that is pretty well, because you even made the comment where you're like, wow, he's really not sure.
He's not comfortable with the situation.
Yeah, he's not comfortable. He's not sure if he should take this path. And I think that came through really well. He's stacking up the money, drinking his cucumber water. Or vodka or whatever the hell he's pouring in it now. But I think that was handled really well. I really liked how they did that. And he's just, I'm lying to myself just so I can kind of live with myself kind of deal.
Which you reminded me, I wanted to mention that in the flashback scene, not the best job of making Bob Odenkirk look 20 years younger.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's like, give him some long, scraggly hair and a flannel.
Right. The only thing missing was if he would have had like a super cool early 2000s goatee or something like that. Like that kind of caught me off guard too. I was like, man, like, but the suspension of
disbelief.
Yeah, like that's going to be hard for him to do, because, Odenkirk is a middle-aged man, and now we're going back, 10, a decade. And, like once you hit a certain point in life, like you age crazy fast, like, so the only thing they really could do was give him like the super cool clothes of the era.
And kind of, I guess, use longer hair to kind of cover up some of the facial features or whatever.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So then I guess apparently after he gets a lot of money, he starts having Mrs. Doubtfire do his voicemail message?
No, he did the British thing. He did the British thing before, remember? Like
that's right. That's right. Yeah, first episode.
The car. So one of the things I liked is that they keep exploring the relationship between Kim and Saul.
Right.
Right. At first, like the first episode or so, it was kind of weird. Like it was obvious they had some sort of connection, but it didn't really go in depth. And then last episode, it showed that they
definitely got more into it with the phone sex and the robot
the phone sex,
and,
like hinting at like a past either like liaison or like sexual relationship or such. But this episode, I feel like it kind of shows that she actually cares for him, like genuinely cares for him even more, because she met him at the salon. And she was really concerned about him when they want to talk. And speaking of the salon, actually, we had some listeners point out that the salon where he currently resides is the same salon they tried to launder money through in Breaking Bad. But listener Adrock83 says that it's actually 2 different salons. So everybody, he says that's a common mistake, but the nail salon used in Breaking Bad was actually the Zen Nail Salon at 4500 Asuna Road. And the salon used in Better Call Saul is the Day Spa and Nail, which is the actual location listed on Jimmy's matchbooks. And that's at 161 Tabo Boulevard. So it's not the same.
That's the thing, is we don't have to be that insightful and stuff because our fans are doing it for us, and that's all we wanted in the first place.
Right, and you guys are awesome. and once again, AdRock83, big ups to you, because that's awesome that you got the actual addresses.
Yeah, that's like some investigative reporting shit going on over here. That's cool.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you, AdRock83. So she shows up there, and they have
a little moment.
Yeah, their little moment, and it's nice too, because it didn't start off with her just instantly delivering the cease and desist order.
Right.
They like had a nice little like friendly chat and kind of joked around and flirted a little bit, and they were talking about like the settings on the fucking massage chair. Massage chair.
Get that deep tissue, or you won't feel nothing.
Right. and then she hits him with the cease and desist for
For the billboard.
Which is awesome too, because I just want to point out, those of you, when you go to our website, click the big icon that says, it's Saul Goodman on location. Travis from, Albuquerque is a listener of the show, and he started an Instagram where he took pictures around the town. And last episode, I mentioned how some of the billboards he took pictures of that they used during filming, and he had that billboard.
That was one of the billboards.
That was one of the billboards. So like I kept looking at it. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of funny, and I wasn't really sure the context of that. And then here it is, like 2-3 weeks later, we actually got to see the context of that. So if you guys want to see like pictures from around Albuquerque, please make sure that you hit up Travis, his Twitter, which will lead you right to his Instagram, and that's available right from our website. Cause that was pretty cool for me personally, just to see that come in.
Yeah.
Come into play.
Well, and you mentioned the one about don't call Saul.
Yeah, don't call Saul.
I wonder if there's a billboard war brewing or something like that. You know,
well,
maybe McGill or Hamlin throws up a don't call Saul, you know, something
right,
like
yeah.
that.
Fighting fire with fire, because the whole point between the billboard is Saul was basically trying to rip off, gain clients get clients on the reputation of
someone else.
Yeah, of Hamlin and McGill.
Yeah, kind of like starting a podcast about a TV show instead of creating your own format or your own topics.
Right.
You just talk about something else. But and it never.
Okay, so let's talk about the whole billboard thing. You want to talk about the whole billboard thing?
Let's talk about the billboard thing.
First off, what was the name of the blue?
Hamlindigo.
Hamlindigo.
Hamlindigo Blue. You must listen to the Hamlindigo girls.
So Saul.
My name is Hamlindigo Montoya.
So Saul Saul puts up this billboard that's almost like an exact replica of the Hamlin
and McGill
billboards and logos, and we were kind of wrong there, because we thought that when in the preview for next week's episode, when it showed him with the hairstyles, I'm like, okay, this is it. They're going to give him like more.
Like the Saul.
Like, yeah, like this is how, even though he looks relatively the same, I was like, okay, there's going to be like some sort of difference they make about his hair or whatever. And like this, but no, apparently he was just getting his hair bleached blonde, so he looks like the douchebag from Hamlin.
And then just give me the curling iron.
Yeah, the curl. That's what threw me off when he was saying that. I was like, okay, it's going to be another montage, and it's going to go through funny hairstyles until he settles on something very similar to what he wears anyway. Like, I thought that'd be the joke, is like, his hairstyle is like kind of what it is, and then he goes through all these different hairstyles, like the montage in Pretty Woman or something, and then he comes back and it's like just a slight variation of the haircut he already has, and it's like, hey, that's perfect. Like, I'm Saul. But no, he puts up a billboard, looks like Hamlin and McGill, and then he stages this, man, I don't know, a publicity stunt?
Well, for one, we don't even know that it was staged, right?
It was totally staged, because they shook hands, because after Saul pulled him up off the billboard, they shook hands, and the guy that fell off the billboard was like, it took you long enough.
Oh, I was writing writing notes when that happened. My bad.
Right. And I feel that was like telegraphed a little bit, because I even looked at you like right when the guy fell. I was like, oh,
yeah,
man,
you caught it right away.
He set that up.
Because I'm even sitting there watching, and I'm thinking, he keeps looking at the billboard. Why does he keep looking at the billboard? You know? And then I thought maybe he's waiting for it to get taken down so we can make a comment at the camera about, hey, they just took my billboard down. But no, he's just waiting to see when the guy was going to fall.
Right.
And you called that way before. I didn't even put that together. Honestly, I'm like, oh, the dude fell. This is a pretty coincidental,
convenient circumstance to occur at that particular moment.
Interesting little plot, conveniences. But no, he was scamming.
I like how he went through all the different legit news agencies, like legit, and like they kept turning him down. He's trying to play it off as like it's some big bad corporation trying to keep down the little man.
The David versus Goliath story.
Yeah, and of course he goes to a college newspaper, because college newspapers would eat that right up.
Right, and then the kid's still like a dick about it.
Right, and before the guy fell, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, who's going to listen to some college newspaper? Because no offense to anybody that's out there that works on college newspaper, like
but your job is meaningless,
right? Yeah, it's not like you're the Wall Street Journal. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like Yeah, the Washington Post or something. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I was
like,
being sarcastic, by the way. Your job's not meaningless.
no, it's not.
I mean,
We love you
you're doing
guys.
good things, and you're going to get that Pulitzer eventually. Just keep at it and shoot for that rainbow.
Right. But really, he wasn't using them to report the story.
No,
it was
not at
just
all.
basically to document the situation so he would have footage so he could sell it to bigger and better newspapers.
And I didn't even put that together when he was super anal about getting me and the billboard in the shot. Mm-hmm. He had to have them both in the shot.
Right. Well, I didn't get that at first either because I kept thinking like, he just wanted it as part of the set piece as the guy was taking it down. Like, hey, see what these assholes are doing? Like, look, they are taking my sign down. And then the guy fell. And then I was like, oh, well, he totally set that up. Like, he totally planned that out. But I still didn't figure out where exactly the student newspaper worked into all that until you see the headline like local lawyer, local hero, or whatever the fuck it was.
Well, I got it. Well, as soon as the whole situation started happening with the guy falling, that's when I was like, oh, that's why that's why he was so desperate just to find somebody with a camera to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not like nowadays where he could have done it like on his iPhone or something.
Right.
You know?
Which also was a question that we had because somebody whipped out their phone and started filming, and we were kind of debating if they were camera phones back then.
Yeah, what year do you think this takes place in now? Like Breaking Bad, like ended like what, like 2010 or something like that?
No, I thought it ended like last year.
Okay, so like say, let's say 2012. So that means Better Call Saul takes place in 2006.
No, you said 6 years prior.
Okay,
to the start of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is 5 seasons.
Okay,
so you got to go back 5 years.
Okay,
and then go back 6 more.
Okay.
So you're looking about a decade ago. Maybe 12 years ago. Maybe
12.
a baker's dozen. Somewhere in there.
Okay. So let's just say conservatively 2002.
Tail end of your college years. And the tail end of your college years
was around like 2004.
Did you have a cell phone with a camera on it?
I knew people that did.
All right.
Real quick story, and I'm just going to tell this just because it's an ample time to tell a story. The first time I ever saw somebody with a camera on their cell phone, it was like 2002 spring break in Panama City Beach, Florida, and we were at a club that doesn't even exist anymore. And we were there to see Vanilla Ice at the club. And my buddy AJ, so AJ, if you're listening, here's your shout out. My buddy AJ pulled out this phone with a camera on it, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, oh, it's a camera.
He pulls his phone out, he sets down the tripod legs, put the curtain over his head, starts winding it up.
No, it was a flip phone, just like in Better Call Saul. And I'm like, your phone has a camera? And I'm like, that's stupid. That'll never take off. That's so dumb. But I asked him, I'm like, why are you just standing there with your camera in there? And he's like, I'm trying to get video. And I'm like, video of what? So then our other friend, John, comes up and he's like, hey guys, check this out. Here's an $8 drink that I bought just to throw at Vanilla Ice. And so John takes the drink, throws it over the crowd, and it hits Vanilla Ice right on the shoulder. And my buddy got it all on tape with a super awesome flip phone camera.
And there you go.
So it's possible. It's possible that they did have it. I guess we answered our own question.
Just had to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, look at that. See, we worked through. So, John, AJ, hello. Thanks for listening.
Hey, guys.
Oh, and then my favorite moment, Dave. My favorite moment so far in the series. It was a small victory. He finally got the messages. He got 7 messages.
Yep.
And then he had to go to explain to Chuck, like, hey, business is booming. I had 3 consults before I even came over here today, before lunch. And Chuck's all proud of him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right, see, I told you, if you were a good person and you work hard, things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then he runs across the street with the foil blanket, freaking out because of the power lines and such.
Right, because Jimmy hid the newspaper from him with that story in it.
With that story in it, he pays the $5 to his neighbor who's like, what the hell's this freak doing in my lawn? Get off my lawn! and runs back, opens up the newspaper, sees what his brother has been up to. End of the show.
And it's a super disappointment.
Super disappointment. So maybe...
Right, that was a disappointed look on his face, right? He was kind of like, what? God damn it, you know?
Yeah, he was like sad. Well, we talked before, like they've done a good job of staging it where, they're brothers and they love each other because they're brothers, but Chuck appears to have a lot of integrity.
Yeah, and Jimmy knew.
Yeah.
Jimmy knew that he had to hide that from his brother.
He had to hide it, and so I think that'll come into play. Like, I bet it'll be one of those things that, like, Chuck will be more sad that Saul hid that from him than the actual methods that he used to get that kind of exposure.
Exactly.
So,
but I'm sure there's a lecture coming, and I hope they do some sort of reaction, Chuck's reaction to the billboard. I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, Chuck will never see the billboard because he doesn't come out of his house.
Exactly. That's why he hasn't seen the billboard yet. But I'm hoping, like, maybe through the newspaper article or something, he'll catch a glimpse of the billboard.
Maybe that'll actually break. What if that broke Chuck out of his funk? Like, he's so disappointed in his brother, he starts finding out what the hell his brother's been up to. So now he's actually got to leave the house, and he, like, to start confronting about this, like going back to Hamlin McGill to the law firm and finds out what Saul has been up to in the meantime. And he passes, like, the billboards, and he's just like, oh shit. And then, that's going to put them on a collision course.
That's like a conversation for Preview with the Prior.
That's a conversation for Preview with the Prior, which we're actually going to record right after this. So thank you so much for listening to It's Saul Goodman. Everybody out there, your awesome reviews, your awesome input, your awesome participation. We really appreciate that. We love that shit.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I check for new reviews every day. I'm not going to lie.
Every day. Like we said, this is as much your podcast as it is our podcast. Please make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Check us out on calltosaul.com. There are buddies that we partner up with. They have all sorts of good articles, reviews about rumors and such about Better Call Saul. Make sure to check out on It's Saul Goodman on location. Travis down in Albuquerque taking pictures of the area just for you. He takes pictures of locations that we're seeing in tonight's episode. Dave, do you have anything to add?
Call us geniuses, call us idiots. Just call us.